Well, ladies and gentlemen, today on Rethink Real Estate, we have Long Doan. And this is a gentleman who's got a great deal of energy. We get to hear his story about coming over from Vietnam. One of the stories that I'm actually quite familiar with because of my experience in Australia with the Vietnamese community and some of the agents that we had within our locations there as well. But again, the energy that Long brings, and also the infrastructure that he has built in building his own brokerage up to having the 12 locations, and also over 650 agents. I think it is a great story of how they've built something from a people first business in providing as much value as possible, training and nurturing of those people as well. We talk about recruitment, we talk about brokerage structure, we talk about commission structures, we talk about all different things when it comes to the business. So again, I know it'll be valuable, so hopefully you enjoy. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Long, welcome to Rethink Real Estate.
Thank you, Ben, for having me here. I'm excited.
Well, I'm pretty excited as well because I don't often get to have people on the podcast like yourself. That is yourself and your partner. I think Michael you've built the Realty Group, and it is a pretty phenomenal company. Like it's amazing when I look into people that are going to be joining me on the podcast. I want to obviously go through and do a bit of background and understand that. And usually the agents that we have on are pretty top performing agents, but you've built a company with multiple locations. You've got over 600 agents that work in those locations now, and the value that it looks like you offer as a brokerage perspective as being the largest independent in Minneapolis is just phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to diving into it deeper. But let's start at the beginning. Where did all this come from, and how did you start all of this, and where did it all start from?
Yeah, that's a pretty deep question because what you say where it started. Usually, why, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
true.
most of us is why we did something. But if you go back even further, it's why we are the way we are, and why we live a life, right? So for me, if I'll take a few minutes maybe just to set the stage and that, so then you can understand all of the things that follow. But I'm originally from Vietnam. I came to America when I was 13 years old by myself as a boat person. This is back in the 1980s after the fall of Vietnam. There's a lot of boat people leaving Vietnam. I was 13 years old. I was by myself, less than 50% chance of making it, Ben. And I was lucky enough to made it. I made it to my refugee camp was in Malaysia. In Wikipedia, it was nicknamed Hell's Island,
Oh,
considered
geez.
to be the most populated place on earth at that time. I was one of 40,000 people living in the size of a football field.
Oh, wow.
So to say substandard living conditions would have been a gross understatement, right? Um, I was only 13. I did turn 14 at the camp, but because I was an orphan without any parents, I was by myself. That was I had the priority. And my uncle, who lived here in Minnesota, had sponsored me, and that's how that's why I ended up here in Minnesota. But because I did have a sponsor, I was only there for a year. There are people there 4 to 5 years, before they even get to leave this camp. But for me, to accelerate the story and my why is the first night when I made it to a refugee camp. And I shared this moment many, many times, and I did not know my why until I was like later in life, like in my 30s, right?
Right, right,
Some
right.
of us don't still don't know our why, to be honest with you, because our why really drive who we are and all the things we do. So once you can identify that, it's a game changer. So I didn't know that until my 30, but what I found out was the first night that I made it to the refugee camp, and this is after 11 days on a boat. Underneath the boat was one of 153 people, the size of maybe an office 10 by 10, right? Maybe two of those. Just imagine sitting shoulder to shoulder. There's pirates out there. You can die from the ocean. Just all of the craziness. I did make it, and that was my third try, by the way.
Oh,
Okay, to
wow.
actually finally did it. So when I made it, I remember sitting on that beach the first night, Ben, because they did the check in, they gave you the shot, and then I don't know anybody. It's crowded, and I found a spot on the beach, and I sat there, and I remember I cried all night. Okay. It's the first time I emotionally cried. I was 13 years old. I've been hurt before, whatever. I've cried before, but it's not that kind of crying. It's because, Ben, it finally hit me that I made it.
Mm.
But then I remember questioning, well, wait a minute. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because as I look across that ocean, vast ocean, right? I know nobody here. And I'm like, everybody I know and everything I know about life is on the other side of that ocean. And I'll probably
Mm.
never see him again. And by the way, I have not. I have not seen anybody besides my immediate family, which there's a better end to the story that all eventually join me later. My mom, my dad, my two younger brothers. So all five of us are now in America. However, at
Okay,
that
great.
point, I thought that, and guess what? All my cousin, all my uncle, my grandma, and my grandpa ended up passing away. I've never seen those people again since that day. But I
Right.
remember that night, I'm like, wait, but I'll probably never see him again. Okay. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I also realized that am I lucky or unlucky that I made it? Because half the people, by the way, half the people of the boat people actually die at seas. Okay, that's the statistic. So I was the half that made it. So am I lucky or am I unlucky that I'll never see those people again? And
Mm.
my job was, if I made it, to go figure out how to take care of myself and then take care of my family back home. That's a lot of pressure for a 13-year-old boy, right?
Absolutely.
So I remember crying, just feeling lost, feeling hopeless, just not knowing anything. And then the sun started to come up and I can hear people waking up. And I did not realize at that moment that actually was my why moment. I remember telling myself I had to make a decision. And I remember the decision I made that day, I did not realize would change the trajectory of my life for the rest of my life. I decided instead of being unlucky, I was lucky. I decided instead of being a victim, 13-year-old refugee boy, making all excuses, what am I supposed to do? I'm by myself, right? I decided I was a victor. And at that moment, I remember telling myself, Ben, put your big boy pants on. You are lucky and go figure it out. And
Yep.
from that moment on, it was all about survival, take care of myself, take care of my family. But my why is that night on the beach. Now, when I have an opportunity that you should invite me, I'm on. I just met one on one with one of our agents, spent an hour with him just to help him. I want anytime I'm given the opportunity to help somebody, I will. Because that night, Ben, is my why. I never want anyone to feel the way I felt that night.
Yeah.
Hopeless, helpless, don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, don't have any idea how I'm going to survive. So, answer your question a long way. My why started with that, which lead to who I am and what I do today. After 34 years in a business, I started Realty Group in 2009, and I have a partner, and we started to grow in 2014. But our motto is all about giving back and helping others because we believe real estate, which you run in a business, is a people business,
Yep.
right? And we believe if you help people, money will come. And essentially, that is the basic foundation of our company. And to help people, we got to find a way to do it, which then allow us to build all those values that you already alluded to earlier that we can deep dive in a little bit as well.
Well, I think that that's an inspiring story, and I want to go back a little bit and just I've had so I'm originally from Australia and coming over to North America, and again, not I took a plane. There is definitely not the same story as what you had in any way, shape, or form. So your level of tenacity is far outweighs anything that I could ever imagine. So that is absolutely heartfelt. But the interesting part is that I did real estate when I was in Australia, and I grew up in an area called Forest Lake. I went to school with probably I'd say 40% of the people that were at my school were Vietnamese, and
Oh, yeah.
um, and
That's
the
probably because Australia
so
is one of the country they can choose.
the only words I know in Vietnamese, I'm not going to repeat because they're only bad words, okay, that I got taught from all my friends, okay. However, the thing I will say that I find amazing is that we had an office in Forest Lake, and I went and started my real estate career there. And three of the best agents that we had were Vietnamese, and the stories that they had, and they were older than yourself, okay. But like for example, Chris Nguyen was one of the gentlemen who was our number one agent. He did almost $2.5 million in GCI, and average sale price is $270,000. You add
It's
up
a
the
lot of volume.
transaction count on that, it's a lot of volume. And this gentleman, like he had a restaurant, he had a karaoke bar in Brisbane, he had all these different things. But when you listen to the story, like he used to, he grew up in a tin shed, like with like no running water, And like the situation, and I will say this is that the Vietnamese community was another community I got to be very familiar with because we managed a large business center close by for our real estate business, and all of the businesses were Vietnamese, right? And they are some of the hardest working people that I have ever met
Mhm.
in my life, based on the perspective that they've been given another opportunity external to what theirs is. And it speaks very clearly to some of the stuff that goes on from an immigration perspective within North America. I think that there's a large part of this where immigrants are sort of frowned upon a little bit from some communities, but
Mhm.
they are some of the most innovative, hardworking people because you're getting an opportunity to come to what is so quote unquote the promised land. And I think that
Mhm.
that's just one of the things that everybody can look at when it comes to hiring people and looking at where they've come from a level of like you could never say that yourself long would ever be entitled in any way, shape, or form because you've worked for everything that's come your way the whole way through. So again, it's interesting how I can definitely resonate with your story because I know several people that had been through that or their parents had been through that in
Mhm.
order to create an opportunity for their family, and they were just grateful the entire way through that journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, similar for us. We both crossed the ocean, but of course, different ways. But, I will say you are totally correct. The immigrants and the refugees, not just Vietnamese, but others, right? We were displaced. We came from almost nothing. We know what it's like to feel lost in a new country. You don't speak the language, don't know the culture. In many cases, face some discrimination, as you said, because of different communities, just how it's being treated, just because we were different. But you're right. One thing that all the immigrants and the refugees have bring with us is that that hardworking ethics and that un breakable belief in the American dream because we never had those opportunities where we came from. We
Yeah,
actually
exactly
have the
right.
opportunities here. So because of that, we will trade hard work for that all day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, again, as we segue into what you've built, and it's amazing to understand how you've built it. Is that let's walk into just the structure of your business at this point. I'd love to just for you to give us just an overview of Realty Group, the way that it is today, because you've got several locations. Okay, you've got a great agent count, everything along those lines. And I need to point out that you are an independent agency as well. You're not part of a franchise or anything along those lines. So I'd love to just talk about what is Realty Group today from a size perspective, and then let's reverse engineer it from there.
Yeah, we have a little over 650 active agents, and we have another smaller department. We call them referral agents. These agents who are not as active, we want them to be over there, and then so that because when they do real estate, we want them to do it correctly. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
enough, you don't know, you do it often enough, you don't do it right. So we have about another 120. So our total is about a little over 750, but about 650 active agents. And we have a lot of teams here because we're also team friendly. Because our model is most states, including California and Minnesota, the legal structure is you have to be with a broker to
Mhm.
conduct real estate business. Some state they also call the word broker, but some call them broker and agents, right? So in our
Exactly.
state, as an agent, you have to be with the broker to conduct your business. That is legally the structure. However, we understand that it's not why you choose the broker. Because
Right.
if that's the case, you can go to any brokerages. There are many, many of them. Matter of fact, about 160,000 of them in the country, right? So the broker role we identify early on is the business partner or the business mentor of the agents. When the agent comes to us, they're looking for a place that can help them grow their business with whatever value proposition that might be, whether that's technology, support, training, mentorship, leads, offices, whatever that is. We identify all of those needs and we find a way to provide it to them. So right now we're about 650. We have 12 offices, and mostly in Minnesota. We are licensed in Minnesota, Wisconsin, only because the border state where we are. And the snowbirds, we just started going to Florida, and then we just did North Dakota only because it's a reciprocity state. So for us,
Okay.
it's technically Minnesota, Wisconsin. We just added Florida and 650 with 12 offices.
Wonderful. Well, hey, I think that first and foremost, congratulations. Obviously, what you've done is phenomenal because
Thank you.
I just want to I want to look at a couple of different things here because what type of would you be comfortable letting us know what type of volume does all of the company do in general? Like, what's from a
Yeah.
sales volume perspective? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. So obviously, last year or two have been lower than normal, right? The last
Of
60
course,
years is one
everybody.
of the lowest. So
Yeah, yeah,
last year
yeah.
we did just about 4,200 transactions. for about
Okay.
$1.5 billion. Now, in Minnesota, the price point very similar to you in Australia. We're about 340 to 350,000 is the average price point for us. So we
Yep.
have to do a lot more units, to get the volume, but 1.5 billion in volume. And but prior year, 3 years ago, when things were still good, we were just under 2 billion,
That's
under
wonderful.
enough, just enough that we got included in the NAR protection. Because with the NAR lawsuit, and
Yeah,
anyone doing
yeah,
over
yeah.
2 billion was
Yep,
excluded. We
yep.
were like 1.9 and some change. We were literally hundreds of thousands just below the 2 billion mark.
Yeah, and you and I share the same thing for our network as well. We were just below that bracket. I'm like,
Yeah,
yes.
I know, right?
So
At first, we were
yeah,
disappointed for a long time. Man, we should have got over
yeah.
2 billion, right? And when that came out, like,
Do you know the thing that I do love about a state where I've got to be honest though, like it's more expensive than I thought. When I was looking on your website and looking at the inventory than you've got, like the average sale price in many of the areas that you guys are specializing in can be anywhere from 1.2 to $2.5 million in some places. I've
yeah,
seen a lot of those listings. But the thing that I will say is that our company does quite a lot of business in Oregon, and that Oregon price point is much less than what our California or
mhm,
Southern California price point
yep,
is. But those agents tend to be some of our very best because of the cadence of deals that they
yeah,
do. They have a great
exactly.
muscle memory. They don't do two or three a year, or they don't need to just do two or three a year to make a pretty good living. It's that
Yep.
volume. They're the type of people that are probably the absolute experts that you want representing you in one of the biggest sales of your life because of that volume that is being done, right?
Absolutely. And that's why we
Yeah.
move those agents to our referral program when they do two or less transactions, because for that exact reason. So you're not doing enough to know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now, the thing that I'd love to ask about, how have you primarily recruited agents? Because I've noticed that you offer a lot of education, you offer to get your license within your education program, like you've got kind of like an academy as well.
Yeah.
Is that a primary source for you to recruit, or are you doing experienced
So,
recruiting?
first of all, we believe, again, we believe we're in a people business, right?
Mhm.
And real estate is what we happen to be servicing. It is the largest financial transaction people lifetime, and is one of the most emotional one as well. But for us, knowing that, we want to go after people who are good at what they do because we want to have a good brand. So there are many, many good brokerages out there. So for us, one of the the way we want to go about it is we never want to put anybody down to make us look better. So we
Mhm.
only highlight what we offer, and
Yep.
we believe that it's an alignment. What I mean by that is agents might be with so and so company for 8 years, but now where they are in their journey, in their life or their career, they might go, okay, time for me to make a change, and we
Right.
want to be that option. So the strategy we have had is build relationship. So we do a lot of events. We speak a lot of events. We hold events. We invite people to. We do a lot of social media. And we literally took my first 3 years in the industry, Ben. I don't know you know this about me, but when I started Realty Group 2009, I was an active broker. And you remember,
Okay.
right? 08, 09, 2010 there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Perfect timing.
I know, right? I came from the mortgage side, my first 15 years to this side. And you know what? As a business owner, I look at the leading and lagging indicator. And what was happening on the mortgage side, I'm like, those deals got to come out this side as a foreclosure. Over leverage, 100% investment property, zero down, 500 score. You know what I'm saying? No reserve. So you know that's going to happen. So I went to real estate and I went right into foreclosure. I closed a
Right.
thousand transactions my first 3 years. And I
Oh,
thought that
wow.
was
Geez.
normal. 300 transactions a year. I didn't know most people do 3 to 5, right? So, but because of that, I was able to create a lot of relationship in those transactions. But what I also believe is taking that same business model as an agent. This is the progression. Real estate agents, most will stay solo agents, and they do fine. But if you join a team, sometimes you do better. You might then start a team, and then you might start a brokerage. All the same type of work, it's just scaling after that, right? So for me, what I did was an agent, productive. I took the same playbook when I was a broker recruiting, meaning
Mhm.
I still go out and meet with agents and other brokers to network, because you never know when they're going to be on the other end of a transaction, right? Funny, when you know somebody, a transaction go a lot smoother when you know the other agent on the other side, right? So that's something I've always done. So I've done that. I network with agents 3 to 5 a week, 3 to 5 a week. That was my cadence. I would meet with new agent I haven't met before, or meet again with somebody I met already. So I find out what they do. I find out, make sure they like me and trust me. I want to make sure I like them and trust them because those are the ones I'll meet again for the second or third time. So because of that, they constantly know me, they like me, they trust me. And then I want them to know if you ever look to make a change or explore other options, I want to be that person you talk to. So I
Yeah.
never go in as a recruiting meeting. I go in as a networking meeting. With that being said, it didn't take long before people go, so what do you have over there?
Yeah.
No, because now they trust me and like me. They let their wall down because I'm not like all the other recruiters that's selling them, pitching them on why our company is better. To be honest with you, I don't know if mine's better because I
Yeah.
got to know about your business first, right? To see if it's a good fit. So then I
Good fit.
always talk about alignment. So based on where your business are, whatever you're looking to do, that you share with me, we have those solutions here. So I believe we're in alignment with you. So let's talk more. So that
Yeah.
was pretty much our strategy. Also, as you know, people work with people they like and trust. They
Mhm.
can't like and trust you unless they get to know you. So in addition to my meetings, we also do the campaign, the marketing, just like we would if I was an agent to sell. I use social media to stay in front of people. I do mailer, I do postcard to agents. Now, my database is not buyers or seller. My database are agents, right?
Yeah.
So stay in front of people and the art of nurturing relationship. So
Yeah.
I'm big on acronym. Anyone who knows, you know, because acronym is how I remember things, right? Art of nurturing relationship. We're in a business, people business, Ben. A stand for aspiration. Aspiration is in the top of the funnel. People only aspiring. So if they're buyer seller, they're thinking about maybe moving because their cousin just went to a new neighborhood they really like. Maybe they want their friend to come live by them. Maybe they're having a kid, they need a bigger house. They're aspiring. Same with the agent. Maybe they think about switching brokerages, but they're not really sure, right? R is research, little low down the funnel. Okay, I think I would like to know a little bit more now. I want
Yep.
to make sure I'm there when in the research space. T is transactional. I got to make a change in the next 6 months, right? I want to buy a house in the next 3 months. Then I'm already in that spot because that's too late for me to step in at that time. They already
Yep.
been a relationship with somebody, right? So that's ART art. Stay in front of people, allow me to do that. STAY is also an acronym. S is sell, right? If I'm an agent, I want to post about my listing, accepted offer, congratulations. T, but I'm a broker. So I want to post that. We have all these fun events. Our agents are getting awards. It's great, right? T is teach. I want to establish myself as the expert in my field.
Mhm.
So education comes into play. We hold a lot of education. We invite agents, not just from our company, but then others to come and attend them. A is advice. You know, I can help you with business. How do you grow a business? I'm a business owner. You meet me. I've done many of these one-on-one for free from agents and brokers all over the country because remember my why? I love to help people. So when I get to do that, they feel like, man, you're so busy. Thank you. I'm like, no, you just allow me to fill my cup in my heart. That's my
That's good.
passion. You're letting me help you, right? And then why is you. People want to know the real you, the authentic you. So I would post, I would share about who I am, what I do. So that STAY stay in front of people, we do that consistently because we believe visibility is credibility. Okay, the more visible you are, the more credible you become. So that's our omnipresence strategy that we have in marketing to agents, and that's how we're able to grow because many agents know about us in the market. And when they
Now,
think about a change, they check us out.
Obviously, the real estate industry has gone through an incredible change when it comes to commission structures.
Mhm.
So I'd love to talk about how did you, from a you're running a business, okay? You're not a competing broker in the
Mhm.
business that is selling against them. You're running that business. Your primary role, and I'm assuming is Michael's primary role as well. Are both of your roles then head of
Yep, we're
recruitment or?
co-CEO. So yeah, we divide and conquer. Both of us do
Yep.
very similar, but we focus on certain area.
Okay, wonderful. And then as far as the structure that you guys have come up with, because obviously you've got to run a profitable business. There's no doubt
Mhm.
about it. The
Yep.
profitability of brokerages, I think, is one of the things that is definitely under siege at this point within the industry. I
Mhm.
liken I liken brokerages the same way to the yellow book pages or yellow pages books that were out there for
Today.
quite some times, is that
Right.
it's something that I don't believe is going away in a very quick time frame. I think we're 10 or 15 or 20 years away from it going away, but it gradually is getting less and less and less and less and less profitable because you're battling against companies that are publicly traded elements like a Compass or like an EXP or like a Real, where they actually don't have to make money. They can just
Yep.
rally it against the stock market in order for the stock price to keep going up. So as an independent, and we are relatively independent as well, is that I know that profitability margin is really difficult. So how are you guys structuring yourselves from a financial
Yeah.
perspective?
Great question. So again, any business you're in, especially real estate business, whether you're an agent, a team leader, a brokerage owner, you want to run a profitable business, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't. It's not smart when you don't. So for us, one thing we do realize, we call them traditional real estate model. The Keller Williams, the Remax, the Coldwell, Exit, you name it, right? They're out
yep,
there. I think the value proposition is just not current or relevant anymore. I think the
right,
models, to me personally, without putting anybody down, I think they're outdated. That's why
right,
most of them have shifted to retention versus recruiting as their
absolutely.
focus, right?
Yep,
So for us, we also understand that real estate is one of the largest sector in our GDP in the United States. Yeah, almost 17%. Because on an average, every real estate transaction make an economic impact of about $113,000. So of course,
right,
different part of the country, a little more, a little bit less. Why? Ben, because on an average, about 30 people touches a real estate transaction. If it's new construction, you got builder, you got mortgage people, you got title escrow people, you got agents, broker, transaction coordinator, underwriter, stager, photographer, appraiser, plumber, you name it, right? On and on and on and on. So for us, we then figure out, why do we keep trying to take a piece from that one vertical real estate only from our partners? Why don't we try to get multiple verticals of revenue from that same partner? So what we do then is we have a transactional fee model. So in
right,
our market, it's $695 per transaction, and most of the time the agents are able to pass it on to the buyers and the seller, so they
right,
pay that as a fee. We have a subscription of $100 a month. So for $100 a month, they're part of us. We call them an affiliate fee to be affiliated with Realty Group. So they get all of this support, training, tech that we have. Because guess what? Instead of you paying your CRM, paying a website, if everyone chips in $100, we can get in volume, right? So at
yep, yep,
650 agents, $100 a month allow us to get a lot of these rent technology. Because
yep,
technology for us, unlike real estate, it's better to rent than own, because as soon as you build your own,
absolutely.
something better is coming along, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly
we'd
right,
rather bring
exactly.
in the best third party, the Follow Boss, the White Lopo, the Lofty, whatever you want to use out there. We bring them in instead. So $100 a month allow us to take care of that. Okay. Then we do pay 100% commission.
Right,
So what we get from is the fee of 695. We did about 5,000 transactions several years ago. Last couple of years, about 4,200, 4,300
yep,
transactions. That's
yep,
the real estate part of it. We are willing to allow our real estate partner to keep 100% of their commission in exchange for a transaction fee. However, we also own our own title company. Minnesota is a title state. I
hmm,
think you guys are an escrow state in Florida,
yep,
in
yeah, yeah,
California,
yeah.
except
That's correct.
northern
Yep,
is different than southern.
that is right.
So right, so, and then we also have. I don't have my mortgage company now. I used to, but not right now. But MSA, mortgage, marketing service agreement. So we have all these programs with the other partners. The plumber who's in our system will pay some type of marketing. The mortgage company. The you name it. Everybody. The stager, the photographer. So it's an ecosystem that we build, so that when an agent come to us, when they get asked, "Do you have a plumber?" They don't have to say, "I don't have a plumber." We have one vetted for you that
Yep,
is going to do a good job, and we all win. Your clients will be happy. You get to refer that person because you don't have one. We have one already. We get something out of it. The plumber makes some money. It's again, help others and money will come. If
yeah,
we
sure.
look at it as an ecosystem and we help everybody win, then we all win. So, in a nutshell, that's a long way to answer my question, but we make it up in volume on the real estate side, and we make it up in other additional revenue streams.
Now, the thing that I want to make sure that I'm conscious of time here, and I want to just sort of like wrap things up with a little bit of a perspective from you. You know, I want to understand from your side of your business, what does Realty Group look like in the future? What are you building to? Because it's all great to have your own why, but what is the company's why, and what are you building towards? Or is it just continue to grow as big as you possibly can? Obviously, you're moving into Florida. Is there views of California? Is there views of other areas? Because I know snowbirds not only go to Florida, they're also going to the desert marketplaces as well. So
Went to
what is the
Arizona for 6 months.
there you go. There you go. There you go. What is Realty Group's sort of vision, so to speak?
So that is a great question, and I know we're running out of time. So we need to do another one. I would do it with you.
Of
Realty
course.
Group, you are hearing it almost publicly first. We're about to do press release. We just joined LPT.
Okay.
Okay, so you know of LPT. They're very similar
Yep.
to EXP and very similar to Real, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
Real and Real and EXP been around forever. LPT just came out less than 3 years. The fastest growing brokerage in the world, 15,000 agents. The reason we like them is this: we believe if we're not growing, we're dying. And to
Right.
grow, you must change. So we were having exponential growth every year, every year, until 2 years ago, we plateau at about 700. Why?
Okay.
Because we keep bringing another 100 leave, either get out of industry or go to places where they feel like they can participate in the health of the company, like
Right.
stocks, opportunity, residual income opportunity. We also like LPT because they're not competing in the same space as EXP and Real, which many of my friends are. And by the way, LPT has a 100% option, and our agents are used to 100% option. So 80% of our agent that we just transfer now, literally since you and I started, scheduling for this. So we'll go through that transition right now. I did elect to stay at 100% model. The other 20% are going to the other option because it unlocks more stocks and more residual. So
Right.
the answer to your question is we took what we thought was great and we added LPT to it because it's an enhancement. We did not replace, we did not change anything. We just added another piece to what we already have. And our agents now also have more options.
Right.
So, as a broker and a business owner, I think one thing you need to do is make a decision. Either just be a boutique and super focus on just your hyper local business,
Right.
or have options
Yep.
to grow. So what it did for us is remove the borders. We now go 50 states and Ontario and Alberta, right? For
Right.
now,
Right.
as LPT is in. We now retain the same system. We still keep our $100 a month because that's the structure we have with LPT. And we are able to now go back to growth mode again, where we can double, triple just in our market. But now we can go into many different markets as well. So I know you didn't even know about that because I didn't even have a chance to update you on that. And that question, you now get the exclusive on telling people about this before other people even know we joined LPT.
Well, I think that it'd be great that obviously we'll probably have you back on here in the next 6 to 12 months and make sure that we can follow the journey along because, again, I love the charisma that you've got and the energy that you've got and ultimately the story of where you've come from as well resonates as well, Long. So I really appreciate you being on Rethink Real Estate today. I know that the crowd has gotten a lot out of it. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.